Good morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to begin our show with the war between Russia and Ukraine and the ongoing efforts by President Trump to broker a ceasefire. On Tuesday, the president spoke on the phone with Russia's President Putin in an attempt to convince him to accept a 30-day truce. Now, Mr. Putin rejected the U.S. proposal for that full ceasefire, but he did agree to a 30-day pause in attacks on energy infrastructure. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff later said officials from the U.S. and Russia would continue talks this weekend in Saudi Arabia. And Ukraine's President Zelensky says he's planning to speak with Mr. Trump today for a debrief of that call.
Despite the agreement, both Russia and Ukraine are accusing each other of targeting infrastructure this morning. Kyiv says that Russian drones damaged a hospital in eastern Ukraine. Moscow says Ukrainian drones hit an oil depot in southern Russia. Speaking to Fox News after those talks, President Trump said he wanted to end the war quickly.
Russia has the advantage, as you know. They have encircled about 2,500 soldiers. They're nicely encircled, and that's not good. And we want to get it over with. Look, we're doing this. There are no Americans involved. There could be if you end up in World War III over this, which is so ridiculous. But, you know, strange things happen. And I think we had a great call. It lasted almost 2 hours, talked about a lot of things, and toward getting it to peace.
In a few moments, we're going to hear from Ukrainian MP Kira Rudik. First, so let's get to NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez and NBC News reporter Matt Bodner. Good morning to both of you. Gabe, let's start with you. What did we hear from the White House and President Trump after the call? How are they feeling about it?
Hi there, Joe. Good morning. Well, as you just played, the president saying that call lasted almost 2 hours. The president also posting on social media shortly after the call that he considered it good and productive. Now, the White House readout, as you mentioned, talked about that Russia had agreed to that 30-day pause in attacks on energy and infrastructure, as well as technical negotiations on the implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea. The White House also saying that there will be ongoing discussions about a full ceasefire and permanent peace, and these negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East. Now, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff is saying that the plan is to begin those negotiations in Saudi Arabia on Sunday. But, Joe, there are still a lot of questions about where we move from here. Both sides are accusing the other of violating that ceasefire on energy infrastructure overnight. And there are critics of the Trump administration who argue that he is being played by Vladimir Putin and that Putin is simply dragging out these negotiations and biding time while he continues his attacks on Ukraine. But the White House this morning is insisting that it was a good and productive call and that these talks would not be happening were it not for President Trump. Joe and Savannah.
Matt, let's bring you in here. So the Kremlin readout was a little different than the White House's, especially on this issue of aid to Ukraine. Tell us about that point of contention and what else Moscow had to say about the call.
Thanks, Savannah. Well, this is definitely turning a little bit into a tale of two statements. The Kremlin readout, it's longer. In certain ways, it's more detailed, at least in the sense that you can read it and you understand exactly what the Kremlin wants, very much what they've always wanted. That major point of contention, though, of course, they've rejected the calls for a total ceasefire, saying that they have a precondition, or at least several of them, and one of them being this idea of continued foreign military aid and intelligence sharing. They're saying, without mincing many words on this one, that they would need to see a complete stop to that, not just from the United States. They were specific about foreign. So this would appear to cover any potential EU assistance that might come were the United States to stop this. And it's an interesting point. I think we're hammering on it because it's right there in the Kremlin statement. But President Trump yesterday saying that this didn't come up on the phone call at all. It's also not the only discrepancy between the two readouts. And this is going to be a point, I think, that becomes very important over the next day, moving over the next few days. What specifically was agreed to in terms of the limited ceasefire? Russia said no total ceasefire, but agreed in concept to this idea of a pause on attacks on energy infrastructure. Yet if we look at the White House statement, if we look at Trump's post on Truth Social about the phone call, it appears that the White House thinks that there was an agreement for a ceasefire on energy and infrastructure. So that's obviously a much broader term. And it sort of begs the question is whether or not the two sides are on the same page at this point.
So, Gabe, you mentioned Steve Witkoff. He says talks between the U.S. and Russia will actually continue in Saudi Arabia this weekend. Beyond the issue of Ukraine, what are we seeing when it comes to normalizing ties between Moscow and Washington?
Yeah, you're right, Joe. Steve Witkoff saying that those negotiations will begin Sunday in Saudi Arabia. And the White House, according to its statement, said that this came up on the call, this broader idea of not just a potential ceasefire in Ukraine, but more stability in U.S. and Russia relations. The White House saying that it believes that those relations have a huge upside and that there could be a lot of economic deals and geopolitical stability when peace has been achieved. Now, Joe and Savannah, this comes, it makes sense after President Trump has long said that he prefers talking to our adversaries, and he believes that he can strike a deal with Vladimir Putin like no one else has. But again, critics of his administration wonder whether that's really possible. And indeed, Ukrainian President Zelensky has said that Putin cannot be trusted. Now, we are waiting today, as you mentioned, for that phone call between Ukrainian President Zelensky and President Trump. Today, we understand, to debrief on yesterday's call. Joe and Savannah.
Matt, what's been the reaction from Ukraine and President Zelensky, more that we know at this point at least?
Sure. Well, it's clear that Zelensky and the Ukrainian side was not at least immediately briefed. We understand that Zelensky will talk to President Trump today. But Zelensky spoke of this at length last night, and he essentially had more questions about this process, wanting to hear from the U.S. president specifically what was talked about. Essentially, what is America trying to sign Ukraine up to? Moving beyond Zelensky, though, there's sort of a broader concern within Ukraine, friends of Ukraine, outside of Ukraine, as to the implications of a limited ceasefire, even if it just applies to energy infrastructure. There is some concern that this sort of temporary truce actually favors Russia a bit more as things stand on the battlefield right now. Ukraine has been doing a lot of damage to Russian oil infrastructure, yet Russian drones continue to terrorize civilians in the cities every day.
All right, Gabe and Matt, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Well, for more on this, let's bring in Kira Rudik. She's a member of Ukrainian parliament. We've spoken with her several times throughout this conflict. She joins us from Ukraine's capital city, Kyiv. Kira, good morning. Thanks again for joining us. So following President Trump's call with Putin, I want to read something that you posted on X. You said, "We can only trust one's actions, not words. I wonder, an attack on a Kyiv school today in the morning, was it a critical infrastructure or not?" Tell us more about your initial reaction to what we're hearing from this call from both sides.
Hello, Savannah. Hello, John. Thank you so much for having me. Well, Savannah, you know, it was actually surreal yesterday because we have learned about how the call went yesterday in the evening, right at the same time when there was a drone attack on Kyiv. And I was literally giving the interviews and asking the questions while the air defense systems were taking down these drones like really nearby. And I can assure you, I live nowhere near critical or any other infrastructure. So it was just another attack. I believe around 70 drones were attacking Ukraine this night. So for us, it was not new, right? We have been through these attempts of having so-called ceasefire with Russia since 2014. And we know for a fact that this is something that Russia never keeps, and that these attacks continue and just more people are being killed. This is what I believe President Zelensky was trying to deliver as a message to President Trump in the Oval Office. But right now, we see exactly what we have been telling the world. No matter what you agree with Russia with, you need to be very sure. How are you going to enforce this? And what would happen if they wouldn't do what they say they will? And this is exactly what's happening right now.
Kira, we've seen that a major focus of the Trump administration's push to end the war has been on what Ukraine should compromise, not Russia, even though Russia invaded Ukraine. What is it you want to see for Ukraine in these ceasefire negotiations?
The first and foremost, and the most important and the baseline for any kind of negotiation is the security guarantees. This is something that we haven't heard from anyone just yet. We have heard what Ukraine needs to compromise on. We have heard their wishes for the peace, but not the main and the most important thing. How do we make sure that Russia would not attack us again? And if they attack, what would happen next? Because all the other discussions, all the other negotiations, they are really secondary to this critical point. And as of right now, we have seen how the new administration was able to put pressure on Ukraine, but we haven't seen how and what kind of pressure can be put on Russia to actually get to the table of negotiations, and what's the most important, to deliver on what they would be promised. And what would happen if at some point, like today, Putin is saying that he gave an order to stop the attacks and these attacks didn't stop? Like, what is the next step? Because right now, U.S. administration is not looking powerful and strong. They look like just another attempt to deal with Putin, and Putin was just simply laughing at that.
Kira, quickly, we know that there's plans for Zelensky and Trump to speak today. What do you make of how Zelensky's approaching this at this point?
Well, it will be interesting to hear if really the idea of unarming Ukraine and stopping all the support was on the call, because this is what we heard from Kremlin and didn't hear from President Trump. For Ukraine, it is obviously cannot be acceptable, because we cannot remain unarmed against the enemy whose clear goal is to kill us.
All right, Kira Rudik, we appreciate your time once again. Thank you.
The future of the U.S. Agency for International Development, known as USAID, is once again up in the air. Yesterday, a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to restore aspects of the recently shuttered department.
Yeah, just last month, crews were seen removing the USAID sign from its headquarters in the nation's capital. Well, now a district judge in Maryland has ruled that the swift closure by Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, quote, likely violated the Constitution in multiple ways. President Trump slammed the ruling on Fox News last night.
We have a judge from a very liberal state who ruled like that. So bad for our country.
So I guess they closed the department. They're going to have to reopen
the department. Well, we'll be appealing it, I guess. Not I guess. I guarantee you. We will be appealing it. We have rogue judges that are destroying our country.
To help us break down the ruling, we have NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach and legal analyst Danny Savalos. Gary, good morning. That's a new title for you, so congratulations on that. We're happy to have you with us on this. First, tell us more about what this judge has ordered the government to do and also to stop doing.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Yeah, that's right. So a federal judge ordered to basically restore the systems of USAID. That means emails. That means payment systems to make sure these employees and contractors can get paid. And it also means the security notifications for folks that are in foreign countries around the world. The judge also ordered DOGE cannot order any buildings, whether it's the headquarters here in D.C. or any of their satellite offices around the country or world, closed. And they said none of this can be ordered by DOGE itself. They have to have a USAID official with authorization to make these orders happen, to be able to make that happen. Now, this is a real a pattern that we've seen here of judges from around the country trying to reinstate the pieces of USAID that they can. This judge we saw with the systems and access. We saw another judge trying to bring back the payments for contractors around the country and the grants and funds around the world. And then we also saw the probationary workers of USAID also reinstated in the past few days. Guys.
So Danny, this appears to be the first time we're really seeing a judge specifically call out Elon Musk and his role at DOGE. What's the judge saying about how this could violate the Constitution?
Well, more specifically and beyond Elon Musk, the judge goes into great detail about how USAID was originally formed by executive order. Now, during that time, for about 30 years, presumably, it could have been unexecutive ordered. But in 1998, Congress made it official by statute. And Congress generally creates and abolishes agencies, not the president. So the court concluded that irrespective of Elon Musk, and that was a major part of the discussion, but the idea that the executive branch can simply shutter an agency without congressional authority, that itself exceeds the power of the executive. It also went into great length discussing how Elon Musk, saying he's just an advisor but acting as more than an advisor, is not just being an advisor.
Gary, President Trump has said that the dismantling of these federal agencies ultimately is helping to get rid of waste and fraud, something he also highlighted last night on Fox. But for those that actually work with USAID, what are they saying about the impact of shutting it down rapidly?
Yeah, the phrase move fast and break things is a phrase that's been co-opted by Elon Musk for a lot of what's happening with DOGE. And I think that describes aptly what's happening here. Workers at USAID have called this catastrophic, the impact that this has already had on the programs and grants and funds that are happening around the world. And it's two issues specific to the Trump administration that they find most important that are really being impacted here. The southern border is being impacted here because of the root causes of migration that some of the USAID programs were helping to cause, to stop from happening and to really mitigate there. Also in Israel and Gaza, they were part of the aid programs that were in Israel, that were in Gaza, that were helping people out. Two issues very important to the Trump administration that are no longer getting the support they necessarily need.
So, Danny, did the judge leave some room for the Trump administration to potentially shut down USAID down the road? I mean, is it clear how long this reinstatement might last?
Not only yes, but absolutely. And that's why I caution folks, before I've read the headlines today, beware of the headlines that say Trump suffers smackdown at the hands of judge, because that's not really what this is. If this is a victory, it's kind of a hollow one for a number of reasons. The relief ordered is both partial and temporary. It's an injunction, which means it has a limited time period, and eventually it will expire. It also essentially, like many of these decisions, gives the Trump administration a blueprint. Hey, here's what you did wrong. You can go back and do it right. And if the problem, for example, is Elon Musk's involvement, then they know now they can step it back in a way that will pass constitutional muster. But make no mistake about it, restoring access to USAID for an agency that's already been shuttered is kind of like giving CPR to a dead body, because what is even left of USAID at this point, that what employees even are interested in coming back and accessing their email and resurrecting what's left of this shell of an agency?
Hard to put the genie back in the bottle.
Exactly. Better analogy. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Danny. Well, President Trump is facing pushback from a member of the nation's highest court. Chief Justice John Roberts defended a district judge yesterday after the president suggested he should be impeached for trying to block deportations. NBC News senior White House correspondent Garrett Haake has the details.
Chief Justice John Roberts delivering a rare rebuke to President Trump after the president called for the impeachment of a federal judge who tried to block the swift deportation of nearly 300 undocumented migrants the White House says are violent gang members. Trump labeling Judge James Boasberg a radical left lunatic, prompting the Chief Justice to write, quote, "For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. This after the president used the 18th century Alien Enemies Act to deport what DHS says included Tren de Aragua gang members to a prison in El Salvador. Boasberg had verbally ordered the flights to turn around, but the White House says it complied with his written order that did not include those instructions.
He's attempting to meddle in national security and foreign affairs, and he can't do it. These are foreign terrorists. The president has identified them and designated them as such, and we will continue to follow the Alien Enemies Act.
But attorney Lindsay Tuzlowski represents a Venezuelan migrant who she says lawfully requested asylum last year when he was immediately detained over concerns about his tattoos. She says in a court hearing yesterday, ICE lawyers said her client, whom she's not naming due to fears for his safety, was among those deported.
So the only evidence the government has that your client is a gang member are his tattoos?
That's correct. He is, in fact, a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record who has never been in any kind of custody until he was in civil ICE custody and now in El Salvador in a prison.
The White House says federal law enforcement is certain of the identities and threats posed by those deported.
Garrett Haake, NBC News.
Another legal blow to President Trump. Yesterday, a federal judge blocked his executive order that bans transgender people from serving in the military. The judge ruled the ban violates the Fifth Amendment's Equal Protection Clause because it discriminates based on transgender status and sex. The ruling is in response to a lawsuit that was filed by 6 active duty service members who are trans and 2 others who want to enlist. The judge called the language of Mr. Trump's order, quote, unabashedly demeaning. She added, thousands of transgender service members have sacrificed, some risking their lives, to ensure for others the very equal protection rights the military ban seeks to deny them. She did delay her order until Friday to give the Trump administration time to appeal it. The White House and the Justice Department did not immediately reply to NBC News' request for comment.
Let's get over to weather now. Blizzard warnings are in effect across the upper Midwest. Let's get a look at what to expect with your Morning News Now forecast.
That does not sound like spring, Angie.
It sure doesn't, guys. But we do have a little bit of this kind of spring-like severe weather expected as well. So multi-season kind of thing happening across a big chunk of the country. Specifically this morning, it's quite active for the Central Plains and parts of the upper Midwest will get in on this action as well. But notice the heavy snow we're seeing, a whole lot of lightning. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got some thunder snow kind of in there around the Omaha area. We've also got this line of thunderstorms that we're tracking across that region. And we've got the heavy winds. That's why the blizzard warnings are in effect. So again, travel is going to be difficult across this region. That stretches up into the upper peninsula of Michigan. You can see the kind of slew of winter alerts that we have, topping about 7 million right now. That travel is going to be difficult across this area and points south. Why south? Well, we've still got those really strong winds. So yesterday we saw areas of blowing dust. That's going to be another problematic issue for folks here across this region today. And we've got about 71 million people under these wind alerts, with winds expected to be 40, 50, even close to 70 miles per hour across parts of the center of the country. On top of that, we've got fire alerts. So 27 million people under these fire alerts. Again, a potential for fires to start and spread quickly with those really strong winds and the really dry vegetation. Here's the spring-like part of this storm system, the severe threat. 19 million people centered mainly from Ohio to Illinois. It does include slivers of Michigan and Iowa, but really Champaign, Illinois, right in the smack dab middle of that. We see Chicago, Evansville, Indianapolis also included there. And we will have the potential to see several tornadoes. Some of those could be EF2 or higher. Wind gusts, hail also on the table. This system's going to move a little farther to the east tomorrow, and it's the I-95 corridor that'll see some rain, specifically into that evening kind of time frame later after the commute. I think we'll see some of that rain, but the airport delays, guys, are going to be out there. This will be something that we see across, especially the Midwest today: Kansas City, St. Louis, Chicago, Nashville, Dallas. Not places that I want to be traveling in and out of today.
No kidding.
If you don't have patience.
Ooh, yeah, there you go. Angie.
Thankfully, we're all very patient.
Oh, yeah,
Back
for
to
sure. Thanks, Angie. See you in an hour.
Got it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.